We're singing. Dun, 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 dun.
Time to talk.
Stop by.
Beauty and the Bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Nikki, hi.
Hi, how's it going, Morgan?
It's so good, girl. I'm so excited to talk about The Boys, and I know that you are, and I was hoping we could start off with who's your favorite character from the 7 on The Boys?
Well, I think it's obvious.
There's so many good choices, really, but there's only 2 good choices.
Yeah, I agree. Some I would say 3 of the 7 are okay, but there's one who stands up everyone else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's obviously the best character. He's so sexy. He's so funny. It's the Deep, girl.
Oh.
In fact, I would say, if I was going to go further, I'd say if I was any person from that whole show, I would be the Deep, because he's the best.
Oh my god. He is such a trash person, and that makes sense for you. That makes sense.
Oh.
If we're going to be a trash person, you would be the Deep, because that's who you are.
Morgan, we were going to keep the bit alive for a long time, and then you had to laugh at my trashiness. Why are people always laughing at my trashiness?
Because I just thought of so we sort of talked about this, and you said you love the Deep, and I said he was trash, and you said you're used to loving trash people. Which is so...
I was kind of hoping we could replay that in real time so I could, just gently burn you, If I've got to go down, I'm going to take as many people as I can with me. I think you know that about me,
Well, you know that about me. But
so,
you're joking. You do love the Deep.
Well, okay, well, yes. Yeah, I'm not joking. He is trash, and he does reprehensible things, especially early on. But I just think, what's his name? Chase Crawford or whatever is so fucking sexy, and I can't help that. I can't help that he is sexy. Yeah, that's his name, Chase Crawford. I also think he's funny as hell. Honestly, I laugh at him, not with him, because he is reprehensible, but he makes me laugh a lot too.
Yeah, he is funny, and so the Deep is trash, but his character really takes you on an emotional journey because sometimes you feel bad for him, sometimes you're laughing with him, sometimes you're laughing at him, some really funny shit that's horrible happens to him, and you can't not laugh at his misfortune, and then sometimes you just want to fucking murder him because he's a horrible person.
He's a douchey frat boy type, And with those types of guys, I tend to, yes, want to fuck them, but also hate them deeply. And, par for the course.
He is really hot, though.
Oh, he's so fine. Actually, before we go deeper into the Deep, listeners, today we're talking about the Amazon Prime original The Boys. Welcome back to another episode. I fucked it up. See, I did it backwards. I messed it up. Welcome back to another episode of Beauty and the Bitch. I'm the Deep.
And I'm Starlight. I'm such a princess.
Okay, hold up. My problematic love for the Deep is one thing, but did you just choose to be Starlight over Queen Maeve? I've had enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess Queen Maeve is great, but if we're being honest, I'm probably that corporate bitch.
I fucking love her too. Madeline Stillwell.
Yes. She's
played by
a different kind of horrible person.
Oh yeah, she's also a trash person, but fucking Elizabeth Shue is so talented.
Yeah.
She makes me love everything she does.
Yeah, I love her. I love her in that. I think that character is so fucking fierce, and it looked like a really fun part to play. In fact, almost every role in the show looked like a really great part to play. Everybody's probably pretty happy with the casting.
I totally agree with that. Actually, I saw there was an interview on YouTube with Garth Ennis, who's the writer of the original comic, The Boys.
Right?
Is it really called The Boys? Yes, it is. And he was saying that for adaptations of his material, because he also wrote Preacher, you know,
Yes.
for adaptations of his material, casting is like 95% of the job. Which I guess arguably you could say that about most things, but he seems to think especially his work is very important. And I agree with you, Queen. The way they cast this show, also Preacher, but that's not what we're talking about today. The way they cast this show was so on point.
Yeah, being not a reader of the comic, I don't have anything to compare it to, but you know, if you play that game with yourself where you try to recast the roles, like who could do this role better? Like I don't think of anyone else that I think could do those things better, and I think most of the actors in the show are like well-known actors who have, you know, they get a lot of work in Hollywood, but they're not those like huge like A-list stars. I guess maybe a little Carl Urban. He's had a lot of good luck, but you know, they're all like really high quality actors that aren't too saturated, and it just felt like a really good fit.
Here's an idea, though, just for as far as in the realm of like how could we cast this better? What if every character in the show was played by Oprah?
You know who really likes that idea? Oprah.
Yeah. And Mick Parker. I love that idea. Oh my god, I fucking love Oprah. Oprah playing Homelander, Oprah playing The Deep, Oprah playing Mother's Milk. I'm so down. What a great idea. I should give myself a fucking Emmy or something. So Morgie, I have to tell you right now, because normally when we do these TV shows or movies that are based on comics, like normally I'm like, oh, I read the comic and that makes me better than everyone else in the world. But to be honest with you, though I did read Preacher, which is his other big, well, one of Garth Ennis's other big like projects,
Right.
I never even heard of the Boys comic. I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah, okay, well, you're a much bigger comic reader, so it's more surprising for you. But, like, I had never heard of it. I didn't even know it was being made into a show, and, like, it kind of just dropped on Amazon for me. Like, hey, here's this, like, new thing you could watch with, like, no hype. Like, I felt like I hadn't heard about it at all until it suddenly appeared, and then it was like everywhere, and the internet was like, oh my god, you have to watch it, it's so good. So it was like a big surprise for me.
Absolutely, me too. And there was so much, you're right about the internet. The buzz was real for this. I mean, after it dropped.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't think of another Prime original that has had this positive of a reception.
The only thing I can think of is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which has won many, like, Emmys and Golden Globes or whatever at this point. That's the only other thing that I can think that, like, the world was like, yes, Amazon, you nailed it.
You're totally right about that. Yeah, so I'm looking through, look, other Prime originals, The Man in the High Castle, which I've heard of but never seen.
Right.
Sneaky Pete, which I've heard of but never seen. Oh, Transparent was a Prime original.
That's true.
That was pretty. The Tick, please get out of here with that shit. There is a show coming out on Prime Original called New Yorker Presents. Have you heard about that?
I have not.
That's some possible awards fodder, because it's essentially the New Yorker just goes in depth on every episode on some topic or story. To be honest with you, I love the New Yorker and I love the New York Times and all that stuff, but I will not be watching that show because real life is too difficult for me to deal with. But it might be great.
Fair. But yeah, they have Prime Originals have really big competition, because we've talked about this many times before, but Netflix just fucking knocks it out of the park with a lot of their original programming, and even Hulu like really landed it with a couple things. They had
Handmaid's Tale, yeah.
People are obsessed with, and then they've had some other pretty successful things.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a new. I mean, even with Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I feel like this reached a very different demographic. Very
Totally.
much more like an internet demographic, if that's even like a thing that people say. Because I definitely heard about Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That for one thing, that title is much too long. Okay, that's just too long of a title. But the boys, I mean, true in like nerddoms and like the kind of stuff where I get my information, it's gonna be more present. But I felt like I couldn't escape it for like a solid 2 weeks. Everywhere I looked, everybody was talking about the boys, which is why we chose to do this episode on it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know what's interesting is, so I have some friends that are big comic book readers, and Aaron and I like binge watch this show, like the whole series, or season one or whatever, in like a weekend. And so we were all abuzz about it, and we were in a group text with some friends, and my friend Jamie said, I think he said, like, oh, he was surprised that we liked it because he had read the comic book and he didn't care for the story. And so he was wondering if it was really true to that, which I can't speak to. But according to the internet, like most adaptations, a lot of things have been changed. So I wonder what comic book readers think about it. And is it one of those really rare things where like the adaptation is actually better because maybe they fix some of the problems?
Well, okay, so even though I haven't read it, I did do a lot of research on my little nerdy websites. And I have a lot to say. You set me up for success with that, Morgan, because I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about this. So first of all, when The Boys was being written, Garth Ennis told people that it would, quote unquote, out Preacher. Okay? So, yeah. That tells you a lot right there about the comic. So, like, Preacher is already, like, super pushes the envelope, lots of ultra violence, lots of sex, lots of swearing. And Garth Ennis specifically wrote The Boys to be more, the same, but more. So I'm actually not surprised that you've got comic book friends who didn't love it, because I've heard that sentiment a lot, that the comic is kind of mean-spirited, I think is what I heard someone say. And really, overall, I feel like, based on what I've read, the TV show is actually quite a bit lighter than the comic. And the characters, including the Seven, who are these big seven superheroes who are more or less the villains, they're all more likable and have more character arc than they do in the comic.
Okay.
Let's see. So that's a big thing. Also, okay, so we should say, essentially, The Boys is about the Seven, who are essentially like Bizarro Justice League, kind of. And the boys, who are the boys of the title, who are these like anti-superhero vigilante types.
Yeah.
Who are just, in the TV show, they're just people. But most of them are just people. But one of the big changes is that in the comic, they all take the compound, which is this, listeners, it's essentially a drug. And it gives you like superhero abilities, but if you're already a superhero, it'll even amp you up more. And in the comic, all of the boy vigilantes take Compound V, so they all are kind of superheroes in that way. Yeah, they're like druggy superheroes essentially.
Yeah.
Which who isn't, Let's see what else. Oh, well, one thing that honestly, and look, I'm not coming for Garth Ennis in this, but pretty much all of his characters, almost all of them, are white in the comic. I think Mother's Milk is a black man, but like A-Train, who's a speedster superhero, part of the Seven, he's white in the comic. And a lot of the really amazing female characters, like Grace Mallory, who's the founder of the Boys, and what's her name? Madeline Stillwell. Madeline Stillwell is a man in the comic.
Oh. Well, that's
yes.
That changes the plot point.
It does, yes, because I guess we should say, because we haven't said so far, we're going to be spoiling. Yeah, we're going to be spoiling the TV show, but not the comic. So what happens in season 1 of the TV show we're going to talk about. Listeners, if you don't want to know what happens, if you haven't seen it yet, this is your chance to pause. But if you have seen season 1, but you haven't read the comic, don't worry. We're not going to spoil what happens later on. So yeah, in the show, Madeline Stillwell and Homelander, who's like the Superman of the 7, more or less, like evil Superman kind of, they have this weird, like, girl, how would you even describe their relationship? Pseudo-sexual worship? I don't even know what the fuck it is.
Well, it's toxic as hell, and it's very like, it's like a weird mommy fetish in like some ways, or like they're both like fetishizing each other, and like she views him as this like fucking scary child that she has to keep in check, and he like treats her like this mommy that he has to be like obedient for, but like they don't trust each other, and it's just like very fucked up, and it's like such a vibe. Like I think they carry it out really well, and like it's such an icky feeling, like them together.
It's gross. Elizabeth Shue rocks the shit out of that. Those like sexy bad mommy or whatever. Oh my god, yeah. Fierce. Yeah, but it's and there's a lot of like she has a baby, an actual infant child in the show, and like there's a scene later on in the episode. We'll do a top 5 what the fuck moments from season 1. This is an honorable mention for that list. When you see that Homelander is using his X-ray vision to watch her nurse her baby, do you remember that scene?
It's fucking creepy.
It's so creepy. I'm not coming for people's fetishes as long as, well, I'm coming for that one because it's not consensual, really. But in general, like, if you're into, like, a mommy fetish, that disgusts me, but, like, get on it. If breastfeeding is hot to you, like, it takes all kinds in this world. But that scene where Homelander is watching her, and he looks so fucking pervy. And she's just like, so she has no, well, you think she didn't know. But later on, she's like, girl, there are cameras in the hallway. I'm not a fucking idiot. I know you watch time. So then, but that just adds a second layer of gross to it. Like, it doesn't make it better. It makes it worse somehow.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
It is. It's essentially like our relationship, more or less.
Just like it, basically. I'm
always breastfeeding. You're always creeping on me.
This feels like a cry for help, but I'm not sure on which side of the aisle.
It's called to the heavens, I think. But no, so Stillwell is not only a man in the comic, but he is like the main villain.
Nikki, too right you are. She will not be making a comeback.
I mean, unless, now here's a possibility. What if that was some kind of clone or something? I don't know. Could be.
I don't think so.
Not a spoiler. I live in. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't think so either. I don't want to say goodbye to Elizabeth Shue, though.
I know. That's the problem when, like, so she had a really good exit moment. Like, it was a great ending for her, but, like, that's the problem with, like, writing things out beautifully is, like, we're not quite ready for it.
Yeah. I totally would have been fine with her being the big bad of the entire series. Honestly, she's such a... Well, you know what, though, Morgie? I've realized our dear listeners, the sweet people who listen to us blather on, we haven't really... I don't know if we've truly explained what this show is even fucking about.
Really?
I mean...
Points.
Do you think... Don't feel like you have to give a synopsis of, like, the full plot, but do you think... Would you feel comfortable just saying what the damn thing is? Because I realize we haven't done that, really.
Yeah. Okay, so The Boys is about, essentially there's this core group of superheroes. They're called the Seven. They are not the only people in the world with superhero powers, but they're a select group of people who are backed by a massive corporation called Vought. I think Vought International,
Mhm.
Vought Incorporated or something. So they are basically a shitty version of the Justice League, as in shitty people who are really powerful and who basically do quote unquote good, but it's all for like a brand. Like they're this giant brand and it's all about monopolizing that power. And some of them are fed up with that. Some of them want to do actual good, but all in all, they're all really complicit in this horrible system. They get a new member because I think like another member had retired or whatever, and her name is Starlight, and she's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and like from the Midwest and thinks that they're all really good people, and she learns quickly that they're not. And the whole story centers around the Boys, which is a group of vigilantes put together by their fearless leader, played by a very sexy Carl Urban, doing a very good thing in the show. Like, I was very into him. He's like the leader, and you kind of find out his story throughout season 1. But basically, something happened to his wife. He isn't 100% sure she disappeared. Maybe she's dead. Maybe she's missing. But either way, it was at the hands of Homelander, who is the Superman type, like the leader of the Seven. Whatever happened to her, he was involved. And so Carl Urban, whose character's name I can't remember right this minute. Do you remember?
Billy Butcher.
Billy Butcher.
His name.
Billy Butcher has it out for Homelander and for the Seven. So basically, he's like, we're going to take these fuckers down. And then he has a couple other people on his team that he recruits for various reasons. One of those people being the sweet little boy. What's his name?
Huey.
Yeah, so he recruits Huey because Huey's girlfriend is accidentally, quote unquote, killed by one of the Seven. And so he turns from fanboy to like fucking vigilante who's out to get them. And it's kind of this battle between the Boys and the Seven, and also Starlight with swaying loyalties. And on top of all that is this major corporation that we're contending with. And then within the corporation, the Seven and Madeline Stillwell have like their own internal battles. And basically it all, like the whole point of it is like coming to a head. We're just trying to figure out what happened to Billy Butcher's wife. And there's a lot of fallout and a lot of bad things happen along the way.
Various points. Actually, my number 5, what the fuck moment, involves a dolphin.
Oh my god, it was so funny. I like literally was crying. I had to like pause it. That was like one of my favorite moments.
So the Deep he's essentially like the Aquaman of the Seven.
And
he's an idiot. He's an actual fool. Yeah. But like he literally plays the fool. He's comic relief most of the show. And it's like, for instance, a dolphin out of SeaWorld. He's driving this like delivery van, and there's a dolphin back, and he's the dolphin's hitting on him, and he just agreed to touch the core vagina. What does he do? He hits another car or something, or hits the brakes really hard, and that fucking dolphin flies through the front window of that delivery van. I don't really like dolphins anyway, because I think they get too much play on nature documentaries, frankly. But that moment, I think that's the funniest moment in the whole series so far.
Yeah, it was truly iconic.
If a dolphin asked you to touch its dick, you
I don't think I would touch a dolphin's dick, but who knows? You know, you never know until you're in the situation.
Yeah, if you could be with dolphins, maybe you would be more likely to want to touch a dolphin dick, you know, or a vagina.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
You're cutting out like a little bit, but I can still hear you. But I just wanted to let you know in case that affected your life at all.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I'd like that to happen. I'll try to speak very clearly and slowly.
Good plan. I support you. Okay, so that's what the show is about, and there's a lot of what the fuck moments, including that dolphin thing. And we sort of like briefly touched on the casting, but do you want to talk a little bit about like the different characters, like about the seven and about the boys?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Morgan, I know I can tell from what you said that you to remember all. Do you think you can name all 7 of 7?
Well, no, I don't think I can, but I can.
I believe in you. Give it a shot.
So we've got Homelander, the fearless leader.
We've already said like the Superman. Literally, he has every power Superman has, except he's not an alien. That's pretty much the. Okay.
Yeah, basically. And then we have the Deep, who we have talked pretty extensively about. Hilarious comic relief, Aquaman foil. And then we have Queen Maeve, who is the Wonder Woman type.
She sure is, and sexy as fuck. Angry alcoholic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's pretty fierce. We have Starlight, who is new to the Seven, the little Midwest princess who's in over her head.
Yeah, and she's got a really cool power. I believe what her power is she transmutes electricity into light that's bright enough to blind people, something like that. She's quite powerful.
She is, and she has some really good moments in the show. Like, you know, she fucks up some people who are like trying to rape a girl or something. She has some really good moments.
She does.
And then we have A-Train, who is like the Flash.
Yeah, he's essentially just the Flash, except he's black, which is lovely. Well, maybe not, because he's pretty villainous, but you know.
We're all pretty terrible in general. Then you have something noir. Isn't there like someone who's like something noir?
Black Noir. He's like he doesn't talk at all, and he's kind of like Batman plus a ninja.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe him. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have that invisible guy.
Yes, translucent. Yes.
How many is that? That's
well, but because I live at the bottom of a deep mine, you cut out at one point, but you said the deep, didn't you?
I did.
I'm pretty sure you did. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's all 7. You got them.
Well, I almost
fucking winner. You did nail it. You knew. You just didn't remember their names, but who the fuck cares about their names? They're villains anyway.
Yeah. Well, and frankly,
what's interesting,
translucent mattered the least. I mean, in this particular story, they're like marginal.
That's totally true. Yeah. Translucent was actually created for the TV show. Yes, which I was kind of surprised because I was like, oh, that's a really, I don't know, like the Invisible Girl or Miss Invisible, or like there are so many invisible superheroes that I was kind of surprised that he wasn't one of the original 7 from the comics. But no, in the comic, it's there's a guy named Jack from Jupiter who's kind of like Martian Manhunter plus Shazam. But they cut him because in the TV show, they were like, you know what? We want Compound V to be the only reason people have superpowers. And Jack from Jupiter is an actual alien. So
weird. That's nuanced, but I don't know. I think it's interesting. And actually, even though Translucent isn't in the show that much, he has a couple of really funny moments. Like they use him as like a comic relief before some bad shit happens to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he's essentially a disgusting pervert. I mean, he wants to actually be like invisible, so he's naked most of the time, right? Yeah. And he spends a large amount of his day, it seems, like in the women's restroom, like a long time in the women's restroom.
Yeah, he's a bad person.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, look, who amongst us, if we could turn invisible, wouldn't spend time perving on people in the restroom? I mean, let him without sin throw the first stone. You know?
So I just don't think the restroom is sexy. Like, I'm trying to go in there and have explosive diarrhea. Like, I don't need you creeping.
I'm totally with you on that. Like, I could maybe put in some urinal time because pee isn't as gross, but like the stall, like, I don't want to watch the cutest of boys drop a deuce. That's like not on my agenda.
No way.
By the way, okay, so we got them. By the way, Lamplighter, who you mentioned, he was the one that was there before Starlight.
Oh, yeah, he retired. Or whatever.
He did retire. And he had, essentially, it just seemed like he had like a staff that made like flame, essentially. And he actually is one of the reasons that the boys exist, because you said, and it is true, that their main mission is to kind of avenge Butcher's wife. But before all that went down, Lamplighter, or no, I guess around the same time that went down, Lamplighter burned the founder of the boys' family to death. Her name is Grace Mallory, and she just has a small, like, really just a cameo pretty much in the season, but she retired because he literally burnt her grandchildren to a crisp.
So rude.
I know. I mean, no one likes children, but, like, that's too much. That's too much.
Yeah. Wait, I like children.
Oh, what? No, you already said yes, so I'm gonna play that to your future children someday.
That was my fault. That was me.
Just to sort of finish it out, on the boy side, we've mentioned Hugh, or Huey. He's kind of the protagonist. He's new and useless and full of rage. Billy Butcher is the former CIA operative, and so he reminds me of like the Punisher, kind of. He's like a guns guy more than like a, I don't know, superpower guy.
So
and then
he
is so hot. Yes, played by Carl Urban. Fine as hell. What was his name in Lord of the Rings?
Éomer.
Éomer, yes.
Riders of Rohan.
I would fuck him and his horse. Wait, no, I take it back. I didn't mean.
I mean, whatever.
They're pretty. I mean, they are pretty horses. If you had to fuck a horse, why not a horse from Rohan, right? Because they're like the best.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And then you mentioned, or somebody mentioned Mother's Milk, who's kind of like Butcher's second command. Now, in the TV show, he's just a large, quite beautiful, sweet black man. But in the comics, he actually has superpowers because his mother worked at a factory where they were making Compound V, which is this drug that gives people superpowers. And there was like a spill, and he got his powers from nursing. So breastfeeding again, coming into the boys. Maybe Garth Ennis has a fetish, actually.
Probably.
But no, here's the fucked up part. Mother's Milk, to keep his like super strength and super durability, which I think is what he has in the comics, he has to continue breastfeeding his entire life.
What? That's
yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's horrible for any people involved.
Yes, it is. Now, I don't think he actually sucks on his mama's titty. I think she like pumps or whatever, but still, it's disturbing. It's a disturbing thing.
Yeah, that's a big no for me.
But if it could give your baby superpowers, wouldn't you do it?
Nah.
It's a hard life for his mom, too. I mean, my little sister just had a baby, and I'm sure all the moms who listen to our podcast, who are many, I'm sure they're like, girl, tell me something I don't know, but that shit hurts. She's raw. She be leaking. I mean, that's painful shit.
Yeah, that ain't right.
It's not right.
That's him. Do you want to talk about Frenchie?
Yes, Frenchie. So also known as the Frenchman. He's like an explosives expert and like a tech expert. And he's actually a horrible asshole in the comics. But in the TV show, he's just more of like a lovable rogue type of character.
I love him. He is so lovable. Like all of his Like, even when he does dumb shit that's, like, a bad idea, he's just so cute. He's so precious.
He's, like, really hot in real life. His name is Tomer Capon. Capone something. And I looked through his IMDb. I haven't ever seen him in anything else. He's mostly, looking through it, looks like it's mostly foreign stuff that he's done. I could be wrong about that. Like Fadwa and Combat Medics. That's a TV series I would never watch, even if
Right. We're not
even if it was here. No. But that pisses me off. I watch network TV with my mom, and can I tell you, 90% of fucking network TV is about lawyers, police officers, medics and fire people, or cops. That's it.
Yeah, and that shit's so annoying, but I guess there's an audience, like, there's a really big audience out there because they get to make so many of those fucking shows.
I guess so, but that shit pisses me off. My mom's tired of me talking about it, but every time they show an advertisement for a new show, I'm like, oh, great, another drama about lawyers. This is something we all really need. Fuck that. Give me something new. I see. That's why one of the reasons I like The Boys. It's not completely new content, because obviously, as we talked about, it's based on a comic, but, like, it's new enough. And it's still not that new, because it's a superhero show, which we have a lot of, but, like, ugh. Because we complain a lot about movies and TV just being reboots and rehashes, but you know what, girl? Network TV is worse. It is worse.
It is. And it just exists. I mean, they're on, like, season, like, 9,000 of Law and Order. Like, that was a number. That's an actual count. It's facts.
Yeah, and Grey's Anatomy is still going too, right? Isn't that show still on the air?
I think it just wrapped up either, like, this spring or, like, last year, because I remember they made such a big deal, and I was like, how in the fuck is that show still on television?
Right? Like, I haven't heard I hadn't heard anyone mention it in, like, a decade.
Yeah.
Like, who is watching this show? Somebody.
Like, my freshman year of college, that was, like, the show, and that was fully over 10 years ago. Exactly.
Yes. Oh, girl, you're being real kind to yourself. Aren't you, like, 62? Let's be for real.
It was 50 years ago.
No, but look, here's the thing. If it was just Law and Order and Grey's Anatomy, I'd be like, okay, great, long-running shows about a thing. But there are like 400 other shows that come and go about every conceivable iteration of those things, you know?
There's Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. I could go on forever. I think it's all fucking stupid.
I do too. Though I do have a soft spot for Bones. Did you ever watch that?
No, but I support you.
Well, you know what? Forget I even said it because it complicates my point. Forget I even said that. I hate it all, and I wish it didn't exist. Okay.
Delete it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you. Thanks, editor. And then last but not least, rounding out the boys, is the only woman on the team. She actually is also the only one in the TV show that has superpowers. And she goes by, her, like, nom de plume is the female of the species, but her name is it?
Kimiko.
Kimiko. Okay, Kimiko. And they rescue her, actually. You find out...
Frenchie.
What's that?
Thanks to Frenchie, they rescue her.
Well, Frenchie loves her. Yeah, they fall in love pretty quickly, I think.
It's pretty cute.
It is pretty cute. They're a cute couple. And let's see, she's mute. She doesn't speak. At least, I don't think we've seen her speak yet. I don't know if she does, actually. That's not a spoiler. I have no idea. I have a feeling she's going to. Because don't we see a scene where she's, like, trying to talk in a mirror or something?
I don't recall that. I recall her looking in a mirror, but I think she just, like, cut her hair and, like, cleaned herself up. But you could be right.
Okay. It was just like a Robin Williams and Jumanji moment then. Okay, I see. Well, anyway, she is super durable and quite strong, but her real superpower is like Wolverine, she regenerates. So she's really hard to kill, essentially.
Yeah, and that was a really exciting reveal because you think, like, oh, she's sacrificing herself. We love her. And then we do love her, but she's not dead.
Yeah, no, you can't kill that bitch. Just like you can't kill Wolverine. Why are you even trying? Give up.
Right. It was great. It was good.
Okay, so Morgie, can we do my top 5 what the fuck moments?
Yes, I want to hear all of them because everything's what the fuck.
Yes. Thank you, mommy. That's me being Homelander, just so you know. Yeah, you're right. Well, that's why I was like, we have to do a top 5 what the fuck, because this is the most what the fuck show I've seen in a hot minute. Okay, so we already hit number 5, which is the dolphin flying through the window. Number 4 is also about the deep, and it's a very different moment, though. Do you remember, Morgie, after he gets demoted for acting a fool at SeaWorld, they send him to some shitty-ass Midwestern town,
Yeah.
and he has a hookup with this rando, creepy lady.
Yeah, that was painful. That was one of the moments where you feel bad for him.
Yes, one of the few, because, he's the one in the TV show that rapes Starlight in the beginning. By the way, in the comics, it's not the Deep. It is Homelander, A-Train, and Black Noir. All 3 of them.
God, that's horrible.
It is horrible. But anyway, so we've seen the Deep be, an assaulter and a dick and a loser and all this stuff. But then he's in this tiny Midwestern town. He's having sex with this woman, and she's like calling him a freak and stuff while they're fucking. And that's already kind of like not good for him. Like, you can tell it's hurting his feelings, but like, and to a certain extent, you're like, well, fuck him. He deserves this. But then she takes her hands and she starts ramming her hands into his gills, like along his abdomen.
Yeah, it was really hard to watch.
It was. I mean, it was kind of hot too. Until she was like elbow deep, and I was like, "Girl, take your hand out of his chest cavity,"
Yeah, I couldn't get into it. I had to look away. It made me so uncomfortable. And you don't want to feel bad for him because he is a horrible fucking person. But it was a really can you imagine being that person who has these skills and whatever his journey was to get to be the Deep, to be a part of the Seven, he is a freak in the eyes of a lot of people, and she's just using him, and it's very sad.
It is. Well, and you know what? That's one of the ways that I really think the TV show is better than the comic, because I could be wrong, but I don't think that moment exists in the comic. And that's a good example of how they humanized and gave a character arc to these characters that doesn't exist in the original material, you know? Or at least, if not humanize them, they at least complicate them,
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put that.
Okay, so that's my what the fuck moment number 4. What the fuck moment number 3, Morgan, you actually mentioned in your brief but very useful synopsis, it happens in the first 5 minutes of the show, and it is when we see A-Train run literally through Huey's girlfriend, Robin.
Oh, man. That set the bar.
It did, because I don't know about you, Morgie, but I'd read some positive reviews, but nothing detailed. I didn't really know what I was getting into. And the minute that Robin became just a bunch of blood droplets and gut pieces, I was like, oh, shit, this is a different kind of show.
It was shocking.
Yeah, it was, and it was horrible. And another difference, another way the show's better than the comic, in my opinion, is that in the comic, he's fighting with a supervillain when that happens. A-Train gets thrown into her or runs through her accidentally. But in the show, he's high on Compound V, and that's why he runs through her. So he's actually more villainous in the show. Well, I guess it's debatable, because in the comic, he rapes Starlight. So, whatever. He's a different kind of villainous in the show than he is in the...
Okay. That's fascinating. He's a really bad person, even though sometimes you think he's a good person. I think he does a really good job of playing a complicated character, too.
Absolutely. Well, and we haven't even mentioned, he has a girlfriend named Popclaw, who her bones can come out of her body to become bone, I don't know, I guess knives? Yeah, weapons and shit. And there is an actual character, Marrow, from the X-Men, who has that power. And, also Wolverine, before he got the adamantium bonded to his skeleton, his claws were bone claws. I don't know if you remember that. Some movie showed that. I forget now what. So anyway, Pop Claw is A-Train's girlfriend, and he kills her. He fucking makes her overdose on Compound V. So he's pretty much a very bad person.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah. And they had been, like, quote unquote in love for, like, years.
Yeah. Well, but it was a toxic, abusive relationship, too, because he wouldn't go public with her.
Yeah.
Because of his image or whatever. And right off the bat, that's super abusive and shitty,
Yep. He sucks.
He does suck. I will say, another honorable mention for this list, is when Pop Claw, high on Compound V, orgasms on a man's face and crushes his skull.
That was fucking crazy. And that was actually in the trailer. So I had seen a trailer for The Boys before I dove into episode 1. And I was like, I don't know about this show. Like, it seems pretty graphic. It seems pretty violent. Like, what the fuck am I getting into?
And, and it wasn't the most graphic moment, but it was up there. I would say it was one of the most, especially, like, the cracking pop sound of the guy's skull. Ugh.
Yeah.
Very upset by that. And I know you, lover of special effects, who only wants to be a special effects artist, I'm sure you were especially touched by it.
You know what? Fuck you. I could have been a Foley artist. It could have been my real dream, and you crushed it.
Make the sound of a man walking into a room and kicking a cat.
I'm not gonna do it. That was just for you. That was a private conversation.
And now I'm just telling everybody. So awful.
Yup.
Speaking of toxic, abusive relationships, Jesus Christ. Okay. And then, Morgie, do you have a guess as to what my number... Oh, my number 2, we've talked about a lot. It's when the Deep raped Starlight in the first episode. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And even though we've already seen Robin die, it really, for me at least, it took me to... Before it was like ridiculous superhero violence. It was horrible, but it was crazy. Whereas when Starlight gets raped, it's a very real kind of violence. So it kind of deepened, it raised the stakes for me and deepened my, I guess, interest in the series when that happened.
Yeah, and watching that scene play out with Starlight, it's also literally her hopes and dreams getting crushed. Because she thinks like the greatest thing in the world has ever happened to her. Like she gets to join the Seven, and then it all just like starts to crumble, and like it's really sad because like can you imagine like achieving your dreams to have it all just like shatter in front of your face like it was all smoke and mirrors? Like it's hard to watch for several reasons.
It totally is. Well, and you realize too, I mean, one of Starlight's big character arcs is you find that yeah, she wants to be in the Seven, but it's because her mom has raised her and, like, primed her to want that her entire life.
Yeah,
so
her mom's crazy.
Oh, her mom's horrible. Just the worst. And there's a really... It's episode 5, I think, is when she really confronts her mom and confronts her religion and kind of rebels against everything. And it was very satisfying for me to see that. And that's also when she calls out the Deep, I think. And Me Too's him. And fucks up his career, which was very deserved.
Yep. That was a good episode for sure. Probably one of the best ones.
I think so too. Okay, do you have a guess as to what my number 1 what the fuck moment is? Is there anything in the show we haven't mentioned that you think was upsetting?
Okay, well, we did briefly mention it, but I was thinking that Miss Madeline Stillwell getting her face melted off might make your list.
Okay, fair enough, because I do love her, but she was so villainous, I was like, girl, you had this eyeball burning coming from the beginning.
Was it the reveal about his wife? Was that a what the fuck moment, or was it something?
Oh, that could have been a what the fuck moment. We find out at the end of the season that his wife is alive, and not only is she alive, but she has given birth to Homelander's baby after he raped her. And now there's a little mini Superboy running around.
Wait.
Yes, no.
Did Homelander rape her? Because when she walked out of the closet in that video, it didn't look like she had just been raped.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe they just fucked. Or was she implanted with his sperm? It's different in the comics, I think. I'm confused.
I'm confused on that too, but it felt like she was just fucking him to me.
Fair enough. You know what? I think you're right. Billy Butcher thinks he raped her because he doesn't want to believe that she would fuck Homelander.
Right.
Okay, there we go. That's true. No, I picked as my number one, I picked the plane crash of the Transoceanic Flight 37.
Oh, Queen Maeve in that scene. Oh, that was so sad.
So here's something that's really going to raise that up to the next level. In the comics, it's not just a random plane. This plane crash happens on September 11th. And it's one of the 9/11 planes. And yes, it doesn't crash into the World Trade Center in this universe. It crashes into the Brooklyn Bridge. But, yeah. So that's another example of how the comic is even darker than the TV show.
Yeah.
So what essentially happens with that is Homelander and Queen Maeve go to save these people who are on this plane, which has been taken over by terrorists, a la 9/11. And the real fucked up thing is they could have saved them, no problem. But Homelander, being the fucking lazy douche that he is, just relies on his heat vision to kill the terrorists and stuff. And not only does he kill the terrorists, but he fucking burns up the console of the plane. So can't nobody fly the goddamn plane.
Yeah, he
And then, yeah, he fucked that shit up, right?
big time.
And then Queen Maeve is like, let's at least save this little girl, this tiny little baby girl, because he's already, like, all the passengers are freaking out because they realize that he's not saving them, and Queen Maeve can't because she can't fly, so she's amazing but kind of useless in this scenario. And this little baby girl, Queen Maeve is like, let's at least save this girl, and because Homelander's so obsessed with his image, which, yes, it would have been, I mean, it would have ruined everything if people found out that he ruined everything, so to speak. But he's like, no, we're not even going to save this little girl. And they just let the plane crash. It's fucked up, man. And that's when you really see how evil Homelander really is.
Yeah, totally. It was very sad and, like, really fucked up. Like, of all the fucked up things, I think that's a great number one because it was super fucked up.
Especially when you realize it's one of the 9/11 planes in the comics. That makes it even, that takes it to levels of fucked up that you're like, girl, this might actually be too much for me personally.
Yeah, that feels like a good change to make, a good omission.
Yeah, I agree. So Morgan, marry, fuck, kill. Homelander, The Deep, A-Train.
Oh, those are all shitty choices.
I know, but The Deep is so hot. Don't fight it.
Oh God. I'm really fucking scared of Homelander, so I'm gonna have to kill him.
Amen. I'm with you on that, Queen.
He's fucking scary. So I guess I'm gonna fuck The Deep. No, I'm gonna fuck A-Train, and I'm gonna marry The Deep, because at least he's like a fucking idiot, right?
Totally. Easy to manipulate. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like that's the right choice. What do you think?
I 100% agree with you. I mean, I will be fucking The Deep if I marry him. Let's just put that out there right now. But A-Train's pretty hot. I mean, he's also a villain, but, like, he's pretty fucking hot. I'd get down.
Yeah. Better him than Homelander.
Fuck yes.
Trust that fool.
And the funny thing about Homelander is, I think in a different role, that actor, his name is Anthony Starr. Anthony Starr. Like, he's good looking. He is a good looking person, but he's not hot in that role to me.
Yeah, he's kind of gross looking, but in that, like, daddy superhero kind of way. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm not into it.
I mean, I do like his pecs. I don't know if those are his real pecs underneath that suit, but, like, ooh, I would play with those muscles for a little while. But no, I'm not into it. I don't want to fuck him either. Okay, here's another one. This one might be harder for different reasons. Marry, fuck, kill. Billy Butcher,
Mm.
Mother's Milk, Frenchie.
Okay, no, this is easy for me. I'm gonna kill Mother's Milk because of all the horrible things that you told me about him, and
the lifelong breastfeeding.
um, and I'm gonna fuck Frenchie because he's just a precious baby, and I'm gonna marry Billy Butcher because it's time for him to move on, and I'm here to fill the gap in his heart.
That's nice. You fill the gap, he'll fill your void. That's perfect.
Right, that's right.
Oh, now that's funny because I think I would kill Butcher because yes, he's hot, but I don't know. He really hates superheroes a lot in a way that is essentially just like bigotry. So I'm not really into that, and I don't know. He just seemed a little too off the wall for me. I would fuck Frenchie because I agree with you. That guy is very fuckable. And I would actually marry Mother's Milk because he cares so much about his family and he's trying so hard to like keep them safe and not let them
You
down. And
you don't have
yes,
teddies on the line. No teddies on the line. You're just walking in there with your man chest and your no milk production, and you don't have shit to deal with. That's a lot of pressure.
wait, hold up. He would not be drinking your titty milk unless you unless you worked in a factory that was inundated with compound V. He's drinking his mama's titty milk.
You don't know what he would ask of me if he was my husband. You don't know.
Well, that's fair. Well, I'll tell you what. I might not make titty milk, but I make other fluids, and he's more than welcome to drink them. As long as he keeps me safe and is a good husband to my beautiful, smart, adorable, small black child.
He is a very dedicated, like, family person, and I do admire that. But the flashbacks of Billy Butcher, like, before Billy Butcher was, like, hella crazy, I just felt like he seemed like a really good partner, too. And I think he can get back to there.
You can definitely tell that he deeply and truly loves his wife because, well, like what we were talking about earlier, where he's like, Homelander raped her. And then, but we saw, as you said in the TV show, that she just fucked Homelander.
Seems like.
It is kind of iffy, though, because it's like, you know, if a boss can't have sex with an employee, can Homelander have sex with anyone, really?
No.
And it be consensual? Because he, like, has the powers of a god, pretty much. So, I don't know. I think we could do a whole episode on whether or not he raped her. But the point is, Billy Butcher won't believe anything negative about his wife, and that just shows how much he idealizes and loves her. You know, so I'm with you on that.
He's pretty sweet.
Morgie, if you had to have one set of powers that we see in this TV show, which set of powers would you choose?
Ooh. Well, I think they do a pretty good job at telling you how fucking stupid Aquaman powers can be. So, like, I think the deep is like the very bottom of the barrel. Like, I don't want that shit for sure. Queen Maeve can't fly, or she can fly?
She can't. She's essentially just like strong and durable, pretty much.
Yeah, so, you know, if I'm going to be a superhero, I'd like to be able to fly, probably. But Homelander is, like, a little much. Like, his sensory stuff is, like, a little too intense. Like, you could never check out and just, like, chill. Shit, I don't know. That's a really hard question. I think none of them are, like, super great on their own.
Well, I think, okay, I'm with you on the deep, but I will say, imagine if you were like the deep and also you were like a marine biologist. You could be the most famous marine biologist of all time, hands down. Because you could talk to fish and you could swim to the bottom of the ocean, down the Mariana Trench, you know, or whatever.
That's fucking scary.
I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. I'm just saying it could be useful.
Yeah.
I would, you know, and it's not just because I'm a pervert, but I would pick translucent if I had to pick a power, because you know my personality. Like, even if I was super strong and super durable, I'm not really the like fighter type. I'm more of the like sneak around behind you, burn down your house type. So I just feel like his powers kind of mesh more with my personality.
Yeah,
And also,
such a hermit too. It's like one extra layer of invisibility.
exactly, I could be the ultimate hermit. No one could ever find me. Girl. So, so I would probably pick translucent. But let me tell you right now, I would not be spending my time in restrooms. I mean, there are better ways. You could be spending your time in Brad Pitt's house. Like,
Yeah.
I just think he sets his sights too low. Too low.
That is a problem. That is.
Okay, Morgie. I think I've gone on and covered most of the stuff. Is there anything you have that we haven't covered?
We have no, but I think we haven't talked about how it has been renewed for a second season, and so there will be more.
I saw. I think it was a teaser for the second season, which I don't really understand how that's out so early, so it may have been mislabeled. But did you see the trailer that was Homelander as a child in the lab?
No, I did not.
There is a trailer out, and it looks fascinating. And it essentially it seems that they're going to focus in the second season more on why Homelander is such a fucking psychopath. And maybe it seems like they're planning to humanize him, at least to a small extent, kind of the way that they humanized some of the other villainous seven in this season. So I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah, it seems like.
Are you driven towards excellence in achievement? Do you
What? Is that porn, Morgan? Are you watching porn?
It's not. Somebody slacked me a link and I clicked on it because I was going to save it for later, but it just opened. It's. Sorry.
So when you're supposed to be focusing on the listeners and the boys and me, your beautiful beauty in the podcast, you're instead doing Slack work. This is the problem with Slack.
Multitasker. I am a multitasker.
You know what? No, this is the problem with Slack. People be doing Slack all day and all night. Girl, well, you're going to have a nervous breakdown. All your hair wig's going to fall out.
Okay, first of all, I have a wig to replace it. And second of all, you sound like such an old man right now.
But I am not into Slack. I do not like that. Doing work at all hours. You have to slow down. It's like my grandma used to say, slow down, faggots are bad.
Much wisdom.
No. She never said the faggots part, but she didn't have to. No, I'm just kidding.
Being Southern is funny.
It is funny. Speaking of... Oh, go ahead, babe.
You go.
Oh, okay. Speaking of season 2, what do you think is going to happen with Homelander's son? Like, do you think he's going to suit up? Will we get to see a Superboy? Maybe Butcher might use him in the fight against Homelander. Like, there's so many possibilities with that character.
I forgot, and I just remembered when fucking Billy used that baby with the laser eyes as a weapon. Do you remember when he was in the hospital?
No! What the hell are you talking about?
We're like in the hospital or like wherever, some research lab or something, and the corporate people were like, they were like shooting at the boys, and like Billy picks up that baby with the laser eyes and uses him like a gun. He just like holds the baby out and the baby laser eyes like the people. You don't remember?
No. Oh, you know what? I was probably peeing or like, getting more coffee or something.
That was
my God, that's hilarious.
Oh, I love that. So maybe he'll do that with Homelander's son. He'll just use him as like a weapon.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what happens with that. And I am excited to possibly see a Superboy. Like, that kid's old enough to put on a suit and go fight crime. So,
yeah,
possibility.
I guess we'll find out. I'm interested to see what happens with Starlight and Huey. I'm interested to see. Yeah, I just want to see more Homelander versus Billy, because like it's really not a matchup. Like Homelander could kill him in 3.5 seconds, but Billy's so determined.
Well, because they didn't include it in season 1, we might in season 2 see Billy Butcher use some of that Compound V and become a superhero himself.
Ooh, that's true. That could be exciting.
I'm also, I mean, speaking of superheroes fighting superheroes, I'm hoping we'll get to see Queen Maeve rebel in season 2.
Yeah, and it feels like they're leaning towards that. That feels like a possibility.
I think so too, because she's very unhappy. She's had to hide her lesbian relationship. Or her bisexual. Well, it's a relationship with a woman, but she's bisexual. And she's drinking all the time. She's super bitter. And when Starlight comes in, it really kind of throws in her face how like bitter and caustic she's become. And I think that I think she's going to get her redemption in season 2. I hope so. I
guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. We also might get to see the public realize that Homelander is the worst person on Earth.
I do actually hope that. I hope that the 7 are just like completely toppled to the ground.
Mm-hmm. All of Vought, in fact. I want to see that whole corporation burned down.
Me too.
Okay. Well, I'm excited for season 2. They haven't put out a premiere date for it, have they? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but they did like they renewed it for a second season before season 1 had even aired. So I wouldn't be surprised if it came out soon, honestly.
Yeah. Maybe end of this year or early next year even? Perhaps.
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, it says The Boys season 2 is set to premiere on Amazon Prime sometime in 2020. Okay, well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait, man.
We'll be watching.
Speaking of things I can't wait for, guess who just went live on their Patreon about an hour ago?
Ooh, was it Donald Trump?
God, no. Though that man probably does need some money, because I don't believe he's as rich as he says he is.
Right.
I mean, he's stolen a lot from America, but I don't think he's stolen that much. No, it's us, Morgan.
Oh my
the bitch.
We made it.
We made it. We're live. So, listeners, our Patreon link is in the show notes. If you are interested in supporting your favorite beauties and your favorite bitches, because we're both, you can click on that link and give us any amount of money. If you give us $2 or more per month, we will call you out in the show, tell you everything about yourself that you ever needed to hear, and thank you as close to as in person as we can do.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because I'm far away, and really everyone just wants an in-person thank you from me. I mean, you're around Austin, but I mean, you know.
Or who knows where I live? Don't tell them.
We talk about Austin all the time. We literally use the Austin tag everywhere.
Yeah, I live in Austin.
Let's see. So please go to our Patreon and give it a listen. You know, we are putting out episodes just on Patreon. They are so-called Patreon exclusives. And we're starting with, do you want to tell them, Morgie?
We are embarking on an exploratory journey of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is a formative anime series from the 80s that is now streaming on Netflix.
Yeah. And if you don't subscribe to our Patreon, you will never get to hear all the pithy words of wisdom we have about this honestly, truly amazing series. It's going to be just on Patreon. It won't be on our normal feed. So if you want to hear that, you'll have to come subscribe.
Yep, that's right. And I guess we will continue to talk more about that. But if they want to find us, there will be a link in the show notes, right?
Absolutely. Link in the show notes. And, you know, if you're just like a poor motherfucker, which, hey, who are we to judge anyone for that? You can still support us by liking us on, let's see, I think I can do them all. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter. Right. You can like our personal Instagram accounts. Morgan is at MorganizedMess.
That's right. And you guys can find Mickey at Parker_Homestead.
And you can also find every single episode on YouTube.
Okay, we're missing like one or two, but like no big deal.
Morgan, you bring this up every episode. Can't we just generalize? Jeez.
We could generalize, but I don't want to make liars out of us.
That's true. That's true. You've already made bitches out of both of us. It's all your fault.
Let's be real. We did that to ourselves.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, you're the hand in my gill, Morgan. I've always said that about
That's all I ever wanted to be.
you. Okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us on this journey today. The Boys was fantastic, and everybody should for sure tune in, and I can't wait for season 2.
Me neither. And I can't wait for our next episode.
Yay, me too. Everything is awesome.
Except for that hand in that gill. That was
not awesome. And also all the other horrible murder and graphic.
Oh, yeah. The various ways and the 9/11 plane crash. And, yeah.
Everything else was great.
Yeah. It was a good place. Okay.
Beauty and the Beast.
Bye.